So welcome Aminata to the business of hair. It's such a pleasure to have you. Can you introduce yourself and then we'll get into the questions.
So my name is Aminata Kamara and I am an international hair artist.
Oh, loving that. Amazing. So let's take it back. How did you get into hair? Like, where did that love come from? Where did that spark come from? And how have you kind of progressed up until today?
So hair is something that I've always done for as long as I can remember. I grew up in Kent, in an area where I was, in fact, one of two black people. It was myself and then a black boy. And I grew up being the only one. And so I didn't have anyone around me outside of my family where I could see myself or, you know, feel represented or anything like that. And so from a very young age, I kind of learned how to just be an individual and how to kind of navigate life in that respect. And hair was just something that I did for myself. If my mum wasn't doing my hair, my cousin would do my hair or I would do my hair. And it's something that my friends at school, because they were very fascinated, I'd come to school with all these, you know, back in the day it was like the peacock hair and like the snake design and like the gelled edges, and you know, you'd have like the two little bits at the back with the twist.
And the little bubbles.
Yes, yes. And my friends at school loved that, and they, you know, they wanted me to braid their hair, and so I did. So ever since I was in like secondary school, I'd braid my friend's hair, and it just kind of developed until very recently I wanted to do it a bit more differently. I'd been braiding for years, I'd been doing weaves for such a long time, and I'd actually just got a bit fed up with it. But I did need to make some extra money, so my plan was I'm going to do this photo shoot. I really want my pictures to just look amazing. I want to be able to sell my services to people in my local area. And I organised the photo shoot, got my friends together, got my sister to model for me, got some girls that I knew to just be in the shoot for me, and I got my friend to shoot the whole thing. And yeah, we did our first campaign.
She said we made
did our first campaign.
Wow.
And then we lost all the images.
I wasn't expecting that.
We lost all the images. This is like the really quick version, but we lost all the photos. And as devastating as that was for like everybody on the team, and you know, all the money and the time that we'd poured into it, and these things are not cheap, you know.
Absolutely not.
To book the space, to pay everyone to come in and to do everything, but it just meant that I had to do it again because I needed to have these photos. We did the photo shoot again. And I just loved being on set.
Wow.
I just enjoyed it. And then we just kept doing shoots, and we kept shooting. And I would just post my stuff on Instagram. And that is pretty much how Aminata Creative began.
That's amazing. So you're telling me that you literally produced your own shoots before you started even getting booked on shoots?
100%. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this is what we need to hear, because we don't talk about that. Like, I think people just imagine that one day they're going to wake up and someone's going to book them.
Yeah.
But and we were literally having this conversation, is that you need to put yourself forward.
100%.
So you need to show what you're capable of, and that's what you kept doing, like showing up, creatively coming up with these campaigns and shooting them until somebody said, "Hey, I need her."
Exactly that. And
do you know what I mean?
You know, I knew that I wanted to do. For me, it was about the aesthetic. I really wanted to show excellence. I wanted to, because obviously we all, you know, there's not a limit when it comes to talented hairstylists.
Absolutely not.
There's so many talented people out there, and I wanted to showcase that excellence in the best way possible. I wanted the best lighting, the best angles. You know, I really wanted to show what it was that I was creating. So for me, having a photo shoot and not just doing something at home or anything like that, that really meant, as much as I was doing hair at home, that's if you came to do your hair, we'd be doing it in my living room, in my tiny studio flat with my daughter screaming in the background. But I wanted to show that if you wanted to work with me, this is what I wanted to produce. And then I started doing things creatively and experimenting and just having fun. And you know, to this day, people ask me now, well, how can I get into fashion? How can I do this work? And I say, honestly, make the content that you want to see.
Beautiful.
Make the work that you want to create. Because sometimes a lot of these agents and producers, they need to see it. They need to see tangibly what it is you can do. And if you can put a bit of money behind it and organise your own shoots, it can take you really far.
And it's so funny, because when you say that, when you think about an actor or whatever, in order for someone to book you, you need to like, you know, film a monologue, or you need to like, it's almost like people need to see what they're getting. They need to see 100%. What you're capable of. And I think what you said about investing in the quality is that, hold on, this is a different level. She's operating at this level. That means that then she can work with us on this. So I think that's the best advice you can give to anyone. And I think as we talk about that, can we get into like income streams? So I love that you're an internationally booked artist now. Like, you're girl, she be traveling. But I also wanted to just find out, like, what number of income streams do you have in your business at the moment?
Oh, so it's a variety of things. So obviously Fashion Week is probably the main bulk of the, even marketing, the main bulk of work that I do. Campaigns is another side. So when you do the shows, you get booked to do the campaigns, and this is the stuff that you probably see on billboards, in magazines, that kind of thing. And then like brand partnerships, so working with different brands, whether it's hair products or hair tools. And also, really fascinatingly, because I travel quite a lot, I've had people reach out to me from like travel companies and like for like suitcases, because obviously I'd need like
content.
So having like a kit bag, something that's robust that you can travel with, and that's honestly something I didn't consider at all. But there was, you know, there are so many different, when you start to see yourself as not just an artist, but an influencer to an extent, because you have an audience, you have people who are looking at you. Brands and organizations are going to want to work with you in order to, you know, to share their product or their service. So brand partnerships is one thing. Social media, of course, is in the mix of all of that. But one thing that has really emerged out of what I've been doing is education.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been doing face-to-face courses, group sessions, in the process of developing like online courses as well.
Wow.
But there's a thirst and a hunger for information.
There really is.
People want to know how to work with textured hair.
Yeah.
And so in what I do, I mean, I like to keep it quite specific in that what I'm doing is creative work. So how do you work with textured hair or afro hair in the creative space? How would you work with afro hair on set at Fashion Week? TV and film is also another aspect of, you know, where, you know, models and actors are going to be. So how do you work with someone who's going to sit in your chair who has a hair texture that you probably haven't been trained with, you've never had, you know, the opportunity to or experience to that point? This is what I'm here to do.
I'm here to teach you.
So education has been a very organic but amazing way to kind of share what it is that I do.
That you do. And do you feel like that there's a passion there from your side to kind of push that forward? Because I think people tend to be pulled in directions where there's a clear passion. Like there's a need and a thirst, 100%. But do you feel like as an educator, like you're like, hold on, I'm actually good at this. Like I'm thriving. Like is that one of the reasons why you're going in that direction as well?
I think for me, it's the desire to want to. So at the core of who I am, it's about shaping culture. That's what I'm a hairstylist, yes. But for me, it's about shaping culture. How can I do that? How can I be a part of something that is going to have an impact far beyond my existence? And education is just one of those ways that I can impart what I have. For me, it's no good to have all these skills and to do all of this great work and you know, great as me, going viral, whatever. Yes, that's nice. But it has to, in order for it to have a real impact, I have to share that. So for me, education feels like a necessity and a vital part of the puzzle to help share that message far beyond. Because I'm just one person, you know, I'm just one person. And in addition to that, for me, how do we bring people in? So yes, education is one thing in teaching people, but how can, because as I said before, there's no shortage of talent. So there's so many people like me who do what I do. How can I open the doors? How can I bring people in? And how can I show people how does this fashion industry work? So part of the education is not only teaching stylists, but also educating people on how to get into this space, how to thrive, and how to change the industry for the better.
I love that. That's amazing. And I think going into that, what would you say, you know, one of your biggest achievements to date has been in your career?
So this is interesting because there's there's been so many things. Winning the award.
Oh my God!
Hello.
So well deserved, honestly.
That I have to say is one of the moments that, I mean, I've never won anything.
I love that.
In my life.
Wow.
But to win an award at the Trestley Gala for me, it just showed that what I am doing is like people are seeing the work.
Yeah.
And it's of value, but more so, people in my community see me.
Yes.
People who I work alongside, people who I've admired. There were people in that room who I've followed for years, who I've loved, and I've just studied what they've done, and they were celebrating me, and I just thought, oh my God,
this is insane. Yeah.
That for me, so winning the award, I have to say, is like one of the like top things that's happened in my journey. But also I think just how people have responded, how people, I've not been doing this for a very long time. I'm coming into my 3rd year now.
It's incredible how much you've achieved.
It's
insane.
so quick.
And for me, it's an example. Like, it really is. Sorry to cut you, but it really is an example of like, if you put your mind to something and you pour 100% into it, there is no limit to where you can get to. Sorry, I had to add that. But
of course. And it's not by my doing. I'm a Christian. I strongly believe that God has played a fundamental, part. And, yes, I have these talents and skills, but, having his guidance and leadership and all of that has been amazing. And just, as I say, see people respond has been I mean, I had someone message me just today on Instagram saying, you're the Pat McGrath of hair.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. It's making sense. But no, like, wow.
Thank you. When it's and this is from my community, us, Black women, and I'm just like, there's nothing else I could ask for, honestly. The acknowledgement, recognition, celebration. And I just I want to be a part of sharing that to so many other people. So
amazing.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you. And it was there were so many people in that room were like, wow, she is incredible. And I'm like, it's literally providing that platform. That's what Trestley is about. It's about how do we celebrate our community? How do we uplift? And you were just the perfect example because, But I think onto that, like, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is looking to market themselves? What kind of content strategies are you using at the moment? Marketing strategies? How are you presenting and putting yourself out there? In 2025, they said that building a personal brand is like one of the most important things to do. And I think you do that really well. But I think, what would you have to share with others that are thinking about it?
I think you have to be forward thinking about what it is that you want to do, where you want to be, and what does that space currently look like? So, for example, I had someone reach out to me. They're a bridal makeup artist, but they really want to do makeup in fashion. And then I looked at their page and I said, as beautiful and as amazing as your work is, if an agent reached out to you for fashion, they're just straight away, it's just not going to make sense because you're currently presenting this, but this is what you want to do. So my advice is to make the work that you want to see, make the work that you want to be a part of. And I can only give that advice because that's what I did. That's literally what I done. I had an idea in my mind of what I wanted, and for me it was showcasing Black excellence. And so I did that. I did the shoot that showcased that, and I put it on display. And as time has gone on and as I've grown to study and understand the fashion industry, and that's influenced a lot of my work, I feel like I've not pivoted, but I'm able to kind of see how I fit into that space, but how I can add my own personal touch. So yes, we can be inspired, but how can you put your own unique spin on things? How can you showcase what you love? Like for me also, I'm I can say former radio presenter.
Oh, I love that. I actually had no idea,
Yes.
But it makes sense now. It makes sense now.
I'd been presented on the BBC for just over 5 years. And I only left in December so that I could pursue hair full time. And I mention that to say a lot of what I'm doing in my content now is I'm doing voiceovers and I'm speaking, and that's of course what I was doing on the radio all the time. And even prior to, you know, making content where I'm speaking, I'm storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm in my content, I'm thinking about the journey of that 30 or 15-second video. What's the journey? Where am I taking the audience from? Where am I taking them to? How can I guide them through what it is that I do? So storytelling for me is key. That's what I've done. So I think if use your personal skills, use what you're good at, but also study the industry and see how you can create the work that you want to see.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think if there's one thing you take away from that video, I think that piece of advice couldn't be any clearer, because you kind of have to put yourself, it's almost like faith. You're putting yourself in an environment, you're creating things that is where you want to be, but you're getting there before you get there.
Yes.
And it's like, it's almost like a trick. Then people think you're already there. So then they start to present you with those opportunities.
But also, even on the back of that as well, working with other people who align with your vision. That's something I've always been very intentional about. So as I said, in the early days, I was working with my friends, but these were people who I admired. I already loved their stuff. I felt like there was synergy and there was alignment. So I'm not having to look at your work and be like, I'm not quite like, that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to work with people whose visions align, it makes sense. When we're coming together, it's like all these strong people or all these talented people are coming to make one piece of content, and it's only going to be lit.
It's only going to bang.
There's
no other way.
There's no other option.
There's no other
it's
way.
like, come up.
Yeah. Do you see the material? No, it's a huge thing. And
even if I fail, the makeup artist is gonna bring me up.
Someone's gonna lift me up. Someone's gonna lift me up. No, but it's facts. And I think collaboration is something that I stress. Like, I'm such a huge collaborator, and I think I've been that way for a long time, and my biggest moments come from working with other people. And I think when you said that, bringing in all the different pieces of like talents, people that you respect, it's only bound to be great, right?
100%.
Like, you guys are going to lift each other up.
Exactly.
You know, but I think talking about greatness, have you also had, you know, obviously business is up and down. Have you had some moments where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, like some really like low moments in your career where you've actually had to pick yourself back up? I think that's always good to learn from those failures as well, or quote unquote failures.
All the time, if I'm honest. All the time. And I don't just say that to say that, genuinely all the time. For me, being very, very honest, being a mother in this industry is such a challenge, especially when I'm doing a role that requires me to travel and be away for certain periods of time. My daughter's 9 years old, and she needs me. She needs me, and having to, a lot of the time I'm having to parent when I'm not physically there. Like, I'm not
You're
there.
not there, yeah.
I'm not there, and you know, even when I am around, children need so much more than just shelter, food, and warmth.
Yeah.
They need investment.
Yeah.
And they need your presence. They need your guidance. And that, as a parent, even when you're not traveling, is so hard to do. And there's been so many times where I've just been like, I actually don't want to do this anymore. I don't like, what's the value in me doing all of this great work, and I'm coming home and I'm so tired and all the rest of it. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard, just balancing parenting and having a career. And I don't think that's exclusive to working in fashion or in beauty or anything. I think just being a parent as a whole. So there are definitely up and down days. But I guess when, like, she called me the other day, and we were at the Dolce & Gabbana show, and the models were just about to walk out, and she was like, Mummy, where are you? And I showed her, and I flipped the camera. She was like, wow, Mummy! She's like, they look amazing. I was like, I know.
Oh, wow.
And anytime I'm at work, like, she'll call me, and she'll be like, oh, when you get home, Mummy, can you show me the hair that you did? So yeah, and sometimes she'll flick through my phone, and that's where she'll pick inspo for the style that she wants. She's like, oh, Mummy, can I have that one? And I'm like,
Okay. We'll see how we can adapt. Yeah.
And you know, and she says to me, "Oh, mummy, I want to be a hairstylist." And you know, she says, "Well, you know, I've got mannequin heads at home where I usually practice, and I'm here practicing, and she's there doing her own thing, and I've taught her how to braid, and she's like just going for it." So it's amazing to see how what I do inspires her and gives her a sense of vision. And so there's definitely like this constant balancing act that you have to do. It's not easy, but there are moments where it's just remarkably rewarding.
Yeah. And it is a balancing act because there's, as you said, there is no parent that doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
And I can imagine with you like traveling, being away, that feeling of like, I wish I was there. But then you hear her excitement and she's so inspired and proud of you.
Yeah.
And then that also fills you with joy. So I can imagine that that's like quite a hard thing to balance.
Absolutely.
But I think also like thinking about the general industry as well, do you feel like there's anything as an industry, and I'm talking about the textured hair, the black hair industry, whether it's creatively or professionally, that we can do to continue to like, I guess, elevate and just continue to get better? You know, because I think there's huge changes going on. There's a lot of products innovation. There's a lot of education going on, but there's still so much to do, it feels like. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that you is front of mind for really making that impact long term.
I just think opening the doors. There is no lack of talent or skill set. I was watching Supreme Models on Netflix just yesterday, and one of the models in there was saying there's no shortage of talent, it's opportunity. And sometimes people need to have an opportunity, doors need to be opened. And so for me, I think that's where people message me all the time, just like, "Oh, finally a black hairstylist, you know, backstage." And I'm like, you have no idea. There's so many of us. There's. The thing is, we get on with the work, right?
Yeah.
I just love sharing
it. Yeah.
And so
you're great at sharing.
I'm like, I've always been. I'm an oversharer. I always share stuff. But there's so many people who were doing the work already. However, that we need more.
Yeah.
We certainly need more. And people don't necessarily know how to get in. They don't know. And sometimes people come in and then stuff happens and then they go back out again, and you know, all this type of stuff. So I definitely think having the doors open for more talented people, and opportunities for them to learn, you know, like how this industry how it works.
I think that's a key thing you said, and I love that about your content. It's like you kind of are like the secret door, because like you're showing us things where like we didn't know this is what it looks like. We didn't know this is what it takes. And even by doing that, you're kind of opening someone else's perspective to be like, oh, this is how things. So I think it's so important. You don't know what you don't know. And so yes, opportunities, but you're also shedding a light. Okay, once you're in, this is how you navigate this space. This is how it works. And those two things together, I think I agree.
Absolutely.
Need to shift things forward. Yeah.
I also think as well, taking the time to sit back and observe and learn. There are people in this game who've been doing this for years, for such a long time. And sometimes when you're coming from a certain environment and you've only learned to do it this way, and this goes for all races, right? Absolutely everybody. Yeah. You might be coming from a salon environment, you're used to using this product, you're used to doing it this way, and then you come on set and then it's a completely different way. It actually takes a lot to just pause and observe and watch. And sometimes you might want to feel like you have all the answers and actually this is how you do it. But taking the time to pause and just observe and learn. And for me, fashion I love because it's very team orientated.
Okay.
There's a lot of us that are working together, collaborating to bring a vision to life. And so having the mindset that actually I'm here to be a part of a team and I'm here to learn and grow, I think is a really key part of the puzzle, because I've seen people just not necessarily thrive because
they don't have
because sometimes it can cause even friction between, you know, I had someone say to me that, you know, they had an issue where someone kind of shunned them for using a certain product, and I'm just like, sometimes we have to just be kind. We have to be kind.
Graceful,
and be graceful and just being open to learning, and just taking, and you know, every day is a learning experience and taking something away, and I've certainly learned countless amounts from just being in that environment.
No, it's amazing to see what you've done. And I think one thing I wanted to ask on a lighter note, like what are you excited for in your career next? Like, I think I've seen so much growth, and I haven't known you for that long, but like it's just incredible to see. But I know there's so much more. So it's like, what are you focused on? What are you in the next 2, 3, however many years, like what are you excited to do?
Well, I mentioned I'm a storyteller.
Yes.
For me, that's like, I want to do something that just transcends time and lives really long. And so I really want to start working on exhibitions. I want to do stuff that exists in galleries that you might see in a book, and something that tells a story or it depicts a moment in time. And so for me, doing something like that, it's just something that I'm really looking forward to do. So I've already started working on a couple of projects.
Yeah.
But also, as I said, feeding in like my radio experience, I chat to people all the time. So who knows, at one point we might see like a podcast or something.
We have to!
You know, just as hairstylist anyway, when someone is sat in your chair, you have the most amazing
most sacred relationship.
Yes.
It really is the most intimate thing.
Exactly.
You know, you really, because having someone in your physical like hair is such a, so you're already sharing that.
Absolutely.
And then that leads to like a conversation that like is really close, you know?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
There is that trust and that vulnerability that you share with your hairstylist. And so there are moments like that which I have all the time, or even if it's not with a hairstylist, you know, there might be a casting director who's worked with Naomi for how many years, and we're just sat down and we're just chatting.
Having a chat.
Yeah, you know, it would be great to do something where we're capturing those conversations. And again, that's something that I hope will just transcend far beyond my years. So hopefully these are the things I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
For the future.
And a last fun one. What are some of the hair trends that you are loving at the moment? Like things that are just, I mean, you're true creative, so I feel like there's probably many, but if you had to pick a few.
You know what? The first one that comes to mind has got to be the braided baldy. I just think that it's, I mean, I'm a short girl anyway. I love my hair short. But seeing like these beautiful designs and creations on, you know, short to obviously just sculpt the shape of the head, I think it just shows how diverse and how talented we are. So for me, I would always love braids. I mean, I've actually never done it myself. I don't,
really?
And I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. I really don't. I just think it's a level of creativity that I'm just gonna leave. I'm just like, if you can do that,
admire.
I'm gonna celebrate you.
Yes, I'm gonna
share that, and I'm gonna celebrate you. So I definitely think that's probably one of the trends that I love at the moment. I'm seeing the French roll come back.
Yes.
We're doing it a lot backstage now as well.
And like different twists on it, different takes. Like I'm really loving that. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I'd probably say those are the top two that I'm really excited to see more of.
Amazing. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your insights, your story. We're super appreciative, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.